So my name is Liam Ganley. I am the owner of Ganley Group Hospitality. We run a number of pubs and restaurants in Melbourne and the Greater Melbourne region, two of which are in St Kilda. One is which are in now the 5th province, located in the oldest railway station in Victoria, which was built in 1857. So all of our venues are in heritage sites. So I always had a love for heritage sites. I guess growing up, I've been born and reared in Ireland, had a passion for heritage sites and that old character that pubs have. So I think, you know, when looking for sites, that's something that we look for. So we've got 4 heritage sites, one in Mornington, 2 in St Kilda, 1 in Paran, and actively looking for more sites. And we're a growing business, so hoping to add a few more in the coming years.
I'm Tess Balderwind. I'm Associate Senior Interior Designer at Studio Y. I've been with Yaron and the team for about 5 years, and I'm really passionate about creating escapism, so spaces that are about experiencing something a little different from the mundane, and that's what I love about Studio Y.
My name's Tom Walker. I am the owner-director of MIC Projects. We are a small, medium boutique building company that specialises in one-off architectural interior fit-outs. And we are 10 years old this year, so we've been around a while. I have a business partner, John, who's not here, that I need to mention, because he's a fantastic guy. We work very well together, and he's an integral part of the business. We have a great team, and we're passionate about what we do.
Liam, our first project with Studio Y and the Ganley Group was the Bay Hotel in Mornington.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So the Bay Hotel actually I found the Bay Hotel. I actually was a patron at Bay Hotel years ago. I played a lot of golf down in Mornington, and whenever we used to finish around the golf, we'd go in to Mornington on the way back here and just want like a pint in a parm or a pot in a parm. Bay Hotel is like the only place. It's the only place that looks like a pub on Main Street. It is, you know, even though it was an old former bank, but looks like a pub what I recognise as a pub from back home.
Stands with a crowd on.
Yeah, it does. Like, it's got that kind of beautiful old, I guess, Georgian style architecture. And I remember going in there the first time. Myself and a couple of the mates that were playing golf. It was awful. It was really confused. It was like Asian fusion, big mural. Remember the mural on the wall, all this stuff, and it was just all over the place. And I was just looking at it thinking, wow, this would be such a good, proper like pub, you know. And then one day I was in Angus and Bonner in Paran, and a guy had come in, and I wasn't there. I got a phone call from the manager, and he said, "Oh, there's a bloke in here." He said he's got a pub listing in Mornington, and he said he was looking at the fit out and the vibe in there, and he goes, "This would work really well there." I said, "Would you be interested?" It had closed down, so I obviously went down. I knew the venue and took it over, and straight away had that vision for that kind of old world, I guess, Irish pub meets. It's not an Irish pub, but it's got a lot of the characteristics of an Irish pub, like earthy materials, lots of timber, that warm vibe in there, you know. And then that's when I rang Stomping Ground and said, because I loved those elements that was in the Stomping Ground, and he gave us Yaron's details, and that's kind of how it started. I guess we all met on site then. We went to Tinder, and MIC, I'd never met MIC. I never met you guys before. I think it was 2 or 3 people in the running. Mm-hmm. And straight away, like me and Tom, when we met on site, we just hit it off straight away. Like, we had the same vision, like, and you know, kind of the same interests as well. Like, I think that's a big thing as well. Is like, if I always say, never let anyone design or build a pub that doesn't drink in a pub. Mm. You've just no idea.
What are you trying to say? You drink. You're an alcoholic.
But like, it's so true.
I'm going to drink to that.
You can never have any. You can. Cheers. I bought the Bay Hotel business, and I had been to Stomping Ground, and I know the owners of Stomping Ground. I rang them and I said, "Who is it?" Because I love that fit out, and I said to Guy, who was the designer? And he introduced me to Studio Y, and you were the builder. Did you build that?
Yeah, we did this.
Yeah, so because I had said to Guy, I love the distressed feel of it and the kind of lived-in vibe, and obviously he'd said that a lot of that was kind of done on site with you guys.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how it kicked off.
Yeah.
That's how the team came together.
Yeah.
Dream team.
Yeah. Well, that's how MIC and Studio Y were introduced through the Stomping Ground. And funnily enough, the Stomping Ground, I was doing Uncle Restaurant next to the local tap house. And then they needed me to do some maintenance, and I saw a picture of a warehouse on their computer. I went, what are you guys? You guys are doing a brewery, aren't you? And I'm like,
Sneaky.
yeah. And I'm like, yeah, we are. It's a bit of a, it's hush hush. And I'm like, call me when I really want to do this. So that for every project we've done, there's always a bit of a network and a connection, and, some sort of preloaded trust or relationship, which I think is nice.
It's also good that you can actually see what was done in collaboration before. You can kind of reference it in that.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get.
I think we're all aligned as well when it comes to aesthetic.
Yeah, 100%.
You want that authentic lived-in space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, as soon as I met you, having a building background, I'm like, and loving this aesthetic, I'm like, okay, I need to take it to the next level.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that's what these projects always work really well, because we've got all those different crafts people working on the project. So you've got people like Caitlin and Makers, specialty wall finishes.
Yeah.
We had custom stained glass behind us, like the custom.
It's amazing.
All these different sort of like not dying skills, but skills that are sort of
definitely
traditional.
The traditional skills like that sign, it is dying, unfortunately.
Yeah. So if we can bring that back into those spaces, it just adds that level of authenticity that
it does.
Yeah, that we
for sure.
lack in a lot of contemporary spaces.
Yeah, big time.
For me, I do time after time shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah. Like tables outside here.
Yeah, let's change the species of timber. All this stuff was rough sawn stock that we machined and made because I wanted that beautiful grain.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to impress you.
And you take pride in the work, which is good.
I just wanted, absolutely. Massive pride, and I knew you'd appreciate it. And I knew you guys would appreciate it. And I knew it's going to look beautiful and last.
Exactly.
All about a good patina.
I think I said, mate, I want my son's 7, and I want to come in here and have a beer with him when he's 18. So don't you stuff the business. I'll make sure it lasts. So
you better hope it lasts.
I'm sure it'll last. I'm hoping it'll last.
So Liam, obviously the fifth has been here and standing for how many years?
10 years this September, actually.
So it's well established.
It is, and it's a bit of a local institution now at the Fifth Province. Obviously, it's an Irish pub.
Yeah.
We're in Australia, so it can't be as what is it? I guess it comes back to what is an Irish pub. An Irish pub really is all about the vibe and the atmosphere, and a lot of Irish pubs overseas, including Australia, are really they're fake, they're plastic, they're just terrible, and the thing about Irish pubs that people forget is the craftsmanship in Irish pubs are phenomenal. These pubs have been in Ireland. We've got one of the oldest pubs in the world in Ireland. It's like, it's BC. We've got pubs there 500-600 years old, the same bars and joinery, Victorian style, hardwood, and they just keep getting better every year. And you can see the age in the various parts of the patina. They tell a story, and that's kind of what we want to achieve here. So we've always all the original fit out in the Fifth was some of the really old school joiners in Victoria McKay joinery, who've since retired now, but they did the original bar, and it's still the exact same way today. It's got better. The brief comes back to staying true to those traditions, good quality joinery, nice age lived in, eclectic kind of aesthetics. It's also this is the old railway station, and it's got different elements to it. Got the veranda, this obviously being the whiskey bar, and then you got the public bar. So kind of have to work with what you get, what you're given as well, which I think you've done a great job of deciphering that brief.
Yeah, well, next door is obviously the rowdy Irish pub.
Exactly.
And then your vision for the whiskey bar was a little different to what's going on next.
Exactly right.
Where did that sort of...
I think you're right, yeah. So I always say that the Fifth Province, I outgrew the Fifth Province as a customer. We had that when you were partying and you were here, and we were able to cater for that. But I guess for people in the area that wanted something a bit more relaxed, a nice whiskey or a nice glass of wine, that's what we wanted to cater for here. So a bit of a breakout space where you could give a higher level of service, and it's just lent itself so well to it. It's still got the same vibe. You still know you're in the Fifth Province, but it's a bit more polished. You know.
Yeah, and if you need that quieter sort of environment, it's still not a quiet speakeasy. It's still got that atmosphere.
No. So the idea is that we get you in here, get you filled with whiskey, and then you push you into the pub bar, and you dance, and you stay there for 3 days.
But also what you mentioned before was like the respect that you have for your local custodians that just have been here forever and a day.
Exactly.
You didn't want to push them out.
No.
They're your, they're your DNA of St Kilda, and you were aware of that.
Yeah, and like this, and it was a huge battle here. Like it was a really, this is one of the toughest projects we've done in terms of, well, it's actually a full heritage listing. I've only ever worked with heritage overlays where they only care about the facade, but this one, everything was approved by heritage, all the internal colours, everything. So it was a big challenge, and I guess I think the biggest challenge was heritage want to contrast old with new. So they want to clearly define what's the original and what's new, and which kind of they're suggesting that we want contemporary in terms of fit out. But contemporary, number one, is definitely not an Irish pub, and number two, it doesn't really lend itself to a nice, warm, inviting hospitality space.
It's not sympathetic either to the architecture.
So it's very confusing. It's actually quite hard to deal with, but through lots of back and forths and fighting, we got there in the end, which really, we actually got a really good result.
Yeah, no, it was a really kind of like fine line against sort of, obviously we wanted to respect their requests when it came to contemporary and having a different sort of approach. But yeah, we also respect the architecture to a point where we wanted it to feel like it was authentic and it was, a natural occurrence. It wasn't just sort of...
And we want to have a business that is successful and has longevity.
And true to your brand, I mean, the interiors turned out perfectly, really, when you think about the brand and the Irish pub. And
amazing. And like we've got people, the feedback from the locals and the customers is just, they've been blown away by it.
I think it really sets a standard though for Fitzroy Street and activating.
It is. It already is.
Again.
It really already is.
Yeah,
it's already.
So Liam, obviously we worked together on the bay, so we already had an understanding of sort of what works and what doesn't in an interior fit out for your brand. But for the 5th, I do remember some sort of strong imagery that you sent through in terms of materiality.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to put your finger in because it's a collection of so many elements that kind of that give it that vibe and that personality. Because they're all quite subtle. There's no like big standout feature. Obviously the floor is a fairly standout feature. But it's just the way all the elements work together, the colour palette, and I think the big thing for me, anyways, it's to create. Who said it to me? It was Claire Scanlon. She said, "What we try and achieve is a finish that looks like it's been there forever." I think it's such a great description of it, and this whole space feels like it's been here forever. And it's all the elements from the wall finishes, to the floor finishes, to the tiles, to the bar, the brass which is aged, the light fittings are aged, the hand-painted signage is aged, it looks like it's been there. So it's all those little elements that when you walk in and you go, geez, how long has this been here? As you go 6 months and people don't believe it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's amazing, and to achieve that in the period of time that we did and to have it feel like it's been here for so long is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to design that, and it's also hard to execute that.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've really nailed here.
I think that's where the team works so well.
Yeah.
Like, you've got your Scanlan, you've got Tom here who likes to bash up the tables a little bit and give it that more authentic look.
It is, and even when we were doing those last few bits, like, and the signage as well. And for me as a client, and you come to the end of the project and money's tight and you've been closed and you're paying wages, and you've got a signage guy in who's they're very expensive because it's a very artisanal. It's so meticulous and there's so much work in it.
Yeah.
But to follow through with it, like, it's like, oh my God, we've come this far now. You've got to do it. Like.
So what?
And it's basically the jewellery on the fit out, isn't it? And it stands out. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I really wanted, I was so passionate about actually doing things the traditional way for longevity, and also just
like all the mortise tinted on the table and stuff.
and all the solid timber. It's there's no veneer in here. It is all solid. And that took us a lot longer, and that cost us probably a lot more. But I just wanted it to be authentic. It had to be. This thing will last.
Yeah.
Well,
down to the curtain rods as well, like even the little rings on the curtains of the window.
Everything to those little handles
Yeah.
there. I aged those little key things myself, you know, and then like, or even the screws.
Yeah.
Those are just
In
doing
the Bay
something.
Hotel, I think you're drafting your mother to do a lot of patina.
Yeah,
isn't it?
your mum was involved in the wall art.
She was, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, she was going to come in here actually as well, but
She was out of season.
But it's those
I
little
did it.
things that a lot of people don't notice. But I think when
Yeah.
you're sitting here as a designer or a builder or a punter, you know, there's little touch points that someone might notice, and that's
Yeah.
what makes it that much awesome.
It is, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's that whole thing as well when you go to an Irish pub and you go, I always say, people don't know when something's right, but you know straight away when something's wrong. So it's like you don't notice the collection of things that make something really good in terms of atmosphere and fit out. But when something's wrong, it stands out so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think this is a good example of that.
Even disguising the AC units in this project, I
Exactly.
think we did a bloody good job.
Yeah, and another good example is like the acoustic ceiling. Like that was on the fly, and because it's really hard to make that fit into an environment like this. But it worked out so well.
Little handmade little roses.
But I look around, I'm like, nothing in here is off the shelf. We made the moldings, everything.
Custom lighting by Elena.
Exactly. Everything has been made by hand and heart.
Yeah.
It literally has. And that shows in here.
Yeah.
You know? You cannot, like, this isn't just off the shelf stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Like when you walk in.
Yeah.
Remember when you asked me about the shelf up top, I had a container of stuff coming from Ireland. And I was like, we got to make this shelf here. I've got all this stuff because they changed the design. The
bloody
heritage
swell.
knocked something back. And I had all this stuff to put up here. And Tom, I was on the phone and he's like, I was like, just a couple of bottles. He goes outside and he's like, there's like 500 kilos of bottles up there.
Per metre.
Yeah.
Like, mate, I had to get an engineer.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it really adds to it. And you see it, like when
great.
you're at the lights over there and you touch the lights,
amazing.
it's gorgeous.
so
and
good.
it glows.
Yeah.
It's
Shout
actually
out to the
better-
lighting as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
They
it's,
create the
it's better in here at
They
night.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's just a standout now for the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Fitzroy Street,
Yeah.
St Kilda is coming back,
Yeah.
man.
And you
Thanks
know
to
what?
you. Like, seriously,
It's
it's an
it's
epic streetscape now.
It's so good.
It went from being a little, I didn't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
really know what the fifth province was,
Yeah.
to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you
Yeah.
can't deny
Even
it.
as from a heritage perspective, now the railway station, which kind of disappeared into its surrounds, it's now been highlighted, and people are going, "Oh, what was that building?"
Yeah.
And they're looking at it now, and they're reading about it, and they've got the signage up, which tells a bit of the history, which you put up around the place.
Yeah.
So it's becoming, it is going to be iconic, and you know,
And I love that you can sit out there in the veranda, which we were originally going to enclose, and then Heritage sort of set us back and we opened it up.
every cloud
But
is a silver
love
lining,
it.
isn't it?
I love being there because you are part of Fitzroy Street.
Yeah, it's the best seat in the house is out there, without a
definitely.
doubt. Yeah.
So silver lining, definitely.
Yeah.
Good old heritage. Cheers, heritage.
Cheers, you guys, but you're empty.
Yeah, we're empty. Need to chop up.
Which